Hey, welcome back. This is the review video for today's reading test. So our reading test will be divided into two parts. The first part will be questions about A Spear for Omar, which is the story that we read 2 weeks ago. So this is the PDF I sent. This is page 308 to 314, and this is actually from the week of March 2nd. So you might have to look at the first email that I sent. And it looks like this. So if you remember, this was the giant PDF I sent that also had the Alice in Wonderland worksheet. So this is from March 2nd. Okay, so we're just going to do a quick review of that. And then the second section of the test will be a normal reading comprehension section where you will have to read a few paragraphs and answer questions about that. So just wanted to first review the Spear for Omar. So if you remember, we talked about the setting of this story. So setting, like we always talk about in class, setting is where the story takes place. It could be what time, it could be the country, or it could be just a location. So for Spear for Omar, if you actually look here, it will tell us a little bit of detail about the setting on page 308. So let's actually read it. Omar knelt at the bottom of the small dugout canoe and left his hand dripped in the balmy water of the Red Sea. So it actually takes place somewhere near the Red Sea. You can also say, Omar's father was known to be the best spear fisherman from Suez all the way down to Port Sudan. So this could also be an option for the setting, Port Sudan or Suez. So that's their setting. Okay. And let's talk a little bit about the two main characters. We have Omar and Gomez. We know that they're brothers. So Omar is the younger brother and Gomez is the older brother. And Omar wants to be a spear fisherman. And we have a picture of a spear fisherman here, somebody who dives in the water and they catch the fish and other water creatures with a spear, with that large spear. That's Omar's goal. But there is one obstacle in his way, and that is that he is afraid of something. If you remember what it is, you can say out loud. Let's actually take a look here. So if we look at, actually it's the first page, 308. It says, Gomez, his brother, says, how can he ever be a spear fisherman if he's afraid he might drown as soon as he's underwater for more than a few seconds? So we know that he is afraid of drowning, which is something he needs to overcome, because if he wants to be a spear fisherman and catch fish underwater, he needs to be able to hold his breath underwater. Now let's look at Gomez, the older brother. He didn't really seem kind at first, right? We talked about how he's like teasing his little brother and mocking him. So the one flaw that he has that their father actually mentions in the story is that he is not very careful. So actually we have it here. As for you two, the father added, turning around to Gomez, it would not harm you to exercise some more caution. So that means to be more careful. It's not well to show fear, but also it's not wise to disregard danger altogether, as you so often do. The sea is full of danger for the reckless spear fisherman. So the keyword here is reckless. So the warning is that Gomez tends to be reckless, which means he's not careful. He's a bit too prideful about his abilities. So that is the one flaw that their father wants Gomez to work on. Now, conflict and resolution, we talked a bit about this in class a few weeks ago. So conflict is the problem of the story. So what is the main problem? So we talked about how a story can sometimes seem like they have many problems, but the main problem is what you will need to know for the reading test. So to find that out, you just have to ask yourself, what is the problem that the main character needs to solve? That is the climax of the story. So we talked about how the problem that they run into is that Omar needs to actually save Gomez because Gomez gets caught, right? Yeah, he gets caught in a clam, actually. His arm gets caught in a clam. And then we see a shark. So that is also a major player in our conflict. So, on page 312. But then, Omar saw his brother in front of him. His body was swaying, helpless from the terrible lack of air. His hand was caught in the closed jaws of the clam. If he had not stayed underwater until there was hardly any breath left in him, he might have been able to free himself somehow. The cocky expression that Gomez usually wore was gone. He looked at Omar with horror in his eyes. So that's the major conflict. Omar needs to save his brother before the shark gets him. And then how does it get resolved? The resolution is what's the conclusion of the story. So how do they solve this problem? So we know that Omar is able to save his brother eventually, but how? What happens? So page 313 and 314 gives us a little more detail about how Omar, he remembers his father's teaching. In desperation, Omar took the last measure his father taught him in an emergency like this. He let go of Gomez, raised his right arm, and slapped the shark across the nose. Then he struck it again and again and again. For a moment, the shark seemed stunned and motionless. Then he turned about, brushing against Omar's face with his rough fins as he turned toward the deep water. Omar grabbed Gomez and pulled him into the canoe. Gomez sank to the floor, too exhausted to move, while Omar fell forward in his knees. So that is how he saved his brother. He basically slaps the shark and distracts him and is able to pull him out of the water. So that was basically the 6-minute summary of A Spear for Omar. You can definitely go back and read the story again. The second section of the test, I will actually show it to you. So this is a test. This will be available right here in Google Classroom and in the email. So this is the first section. Make sure to write your name. They ask you some questions that we already talked about. Remember, you can use your book. And if you click next, I'll take you to the next section. So this one is about a woman named Jane Addams. It's a biography piece, so you're going to be reading this, just 3 paragraphs, and then answer questions about the passages. So again, remember this is open book, so if you have questions about what a word means, you can always look it up in the dictionary, or just contact me. I'll have my email open and everything, so I'll be able to help you if you have any questions. Yep. And once you're done, you're going to press submit, and that is it. And I hope that this review video helped you. You're going to do great. Good luck, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.